2023 here. In today's knife therapy, we have the Oknife Freeze 2. And right now, with this knife, you can go on their site and they're selling them as a bundle. I think you can get it with one of these two. This is the Morse keychain light. Absolutely love these. As you can see, this one was on one of my backpacks. This particular one is in copper. It's fairly weighty because of the copper, and this one is in aluminum. They're both the same as far as specs. Your low mode, it's just a twisty, low mode, moonlight, 5 lumens for 12 hours, and high is 180 lumens for 23 minutes. Excellent light for a keychain or, like I said, a pouch or a backpack. One thing I love about these is let's see, got a nice little O-ring. You have a USB-C charging port right there, and that's your little indicator light to let it know if it's charged fully or not. Very cool lights. All right, this knife comes in this variation that you see here, and you can also get it with copper scales to go along with that copper Morse light. Let's get some specs out of the way. You have an overall length of 7 5/8 inches, so it's a medium to larger size knife. Blade length of 3.4 inches with a 3.3 inch cutting edge. You have a grip area from here to the very back of 3.6 inches. You have a slender handle scale thickness at 0.48 inches. Close width in the pocket from here to here of 1.19 inches. And blade stock thickness of 0.11 inches. The behind the edge thickness on this particular knife is around 18 thousandths, sharpened at 23 degrees per side. All right, let's take a closer look. You have a really nice, versatile drop point blade shape with a nice belt satin finish on it. Blade steel is 154 cm, which is excellent. The OEM on these, I'm pretty sure, is KIZER, and they do a great job on their 154, and it is a stainless steel. You have a nice top swedge up here, but still have a pretty robust tip there if you have to do any kind of digging work, bore a little hole into some wood or something. You have a long row of jimping right there. It's somewhat fine. I'd call it moderate traction. That gives you some grip there. You do have a sharpening notch right here that does clear that plunge, and you should have a few sharpenings before it starts to widen up in the back. The knife has a flat saber grind that should slice fairly well. Why don't we do some cutting and find out? This is a great blade shape for just about any type of cutting. The knife came pretty sharp and was slicing fairly well. And initially the knife felt good in hand. However, this is just light work, so we'll have to wait and see as I progress through the testing. My only concern is that it has a thin handle and a somewhat slick scales on it. And that could be a problem later on down the road, but we'll see. Now we are going to test the ergos in this pine 2x4 by slowly increasing the pressure with each pass while also seeing what the edge is like. The edge felt really good, and in that hammer grip I was able to get a lot of power into the wood. However, I did notice there was a minor hot spot at the top of the clip, so I swapped my grip up to a saber grip and the hot spot went away. The carbon fiber scales, however, were a little slick. Kind of wanted to turn in my hand a little bit. So that's something, if you're going to be doing a lot of hard pressure cutting, something to note. You can see me keep adjusting my hands. And like I said before, the handle scales are a little thin at 0.48. I notice anything under ½ inch is usually thin. The blade shape works really well for doing drag cuts, And I noticed right away that the forward section of the edge near the tip was super sharp with a good bit of bite to that edge. And the only thing that I wish more companies would do is thin out that secondary edge bevel some, say to like 18 to 20 degrees, because they usually perform so much better and you still have a good bit of strength to that edge. This one is blasting through just about all the materials, but like I said, you know, with those thinner edges, they just slice so good. I usually thin them out right after the review, so it'd be awesome if they came like that from the factory. I got to the denim, that edge was still feeling really good, and I could feel the bite grabbing onto that denim. This is that 12-ounce denim, and it didn't seem to bother too much. Now on to the 1/2-inch twisted sisal rope. The knife and that belly work great on a flat cutting surface, and it was fairly comfortable in the pinch grip. But one thing I did notice was without gloves, the handle was a little bit slick because of that carbon fiber scales. So I made sure I had the glove on my hand for this one. I ended up making around 32 cuts fairly easily. Did a lot of push cutting here, and I probably could have done a little bit more, but I ended up running out of rope. Once I was done with the rope, I ended up sharpening the knife up, put an 18-degree bevel on it, and now it's awesome. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that cutting. I enjoyed making for y'all. Now let's check out the action on the knife. This is a flipper deployment knife, and it's riding on ceramic ball bearings. Oh, yeah. Excellent, smooth drop shut action. Pretty big flipper tab. Does have jimping there. Great for the light switch, and it has a very snappy detent. Watch this action. Yeah, comes out nice and hard. And if you want to do the push button, you can, but it's much more comfortable, I find, to just pull it back, do the light switch. Now let's take a look at these scales. You have a carbon fiber laminate over G10. I don't know if you can actually see the line right here where that chamfer is. It's a fairly nice size piece of carbon fiber stuck to the G10. I would have much rather see it be all carbon fiber, but of course the price would have probably went up. The scales are smooth, a little slick. Not usually my favorite type of carbon fiber. They are shadow boxed to the stainless steel frame, which just means that the stainless steel frame sits a little bit wider than these scales do. You do have a chamfer going all the way around the carbon fiber and G10 scales that make sure you don't have any sharp edges where you don't want them to be. You have a blue aluminum pivot collar, nice little contrast there. You have a large lanyard hole right there for all you lanyard people. Your pivot is a Torx T8, and your body screws and clip screws are T6, unfortunately. I would have loved to see those all be T8, but oh well. As you can see, it is tapped for left-handed tip up as well as right-handed tip up carry. Let's check it out in the pocket. I found that it goes in and out of the pocket fairly easily because you have that slick carbon fiber underneath. Pretty much buries in the pocket all the way. If you do put other stuff in your pocket, just know that that big flipper tab is going to be, rubbing against it. I did notice when it was in my thin shorts that it was a little bit loose because of that slicker carbon fiber. The knife has 2 hourglass standoffs in the back right here. Flow-through construction, so if you want to blow it out with some compressed air or wipe it out with a Q-tip, you can rather easily. You do have some internal milling, a lot of it on top and bottom. Let's check it out on the scale. First off, in grams, 109.9 grams and 3.87 ounces. I find that perfectly reasonable. Now let's take a look at the lockup. The knife is sitting at around 50%. No side to side, no up and down. It's got a very tight lockup on it. Access to the lock bar is very good because you have this cutout right here, and it's really easy to get there. And now for some quick size comparisons, we have the Ontario Rat Model 1 and Rat Model 2. It's right in the middle of both of those. Next up, we have the O-Knife Zilla and the O-Knife Beagle. It's more closely related to the Beagle as an overall length, and you have a little bit more cutting edge on the Freeze than the Beagle, and of course, it's being dwarfed by the Zilla. Lastly, we have the Spyderco PM2 and the Para 3. It's, I'd say, closer to the PM2. You do have more cutting edge than PM2. Just have a shorter handle than the PM2. All right, now for my nitpicks and complaints. First off, I would have loved to see a stonewash on this, but the one thing that kind of bugs me, I don't think they need to put the O-Knife billboarding right there. I think it would have looked a lot cleaner. Make something on for the pivot or your pocket clip. It's just a nitpick, but something I'm not a huge fan of. Also, I talked about it during the cutting. The edge bevel is at 23 degrees per side. God, I wish more companies would take them to at least 20 degrees. 18 would be even better. They just perform so much better whenever they're at 18 to 22. I mean, 18 to 20 or so. Next thing that I noticed, the scales are a little slick. There's not much texture on them. Only really had any issues whenever I was doing a lot of like power cutting down. Also, whenever I was in the hammer grip, I have a medium-sized hand, medium to large glove. When I was pushing hard into the wood, I did notice a minor hot spot at the top of this clip. However, once I put my hand in the saber grip, it alleviated that issue. So it's not, not a terrible, it wasn't terrible or anything. So my overall opinion of the knife, I think it's a good knife, especially if you catch it on one of their sales. It has outstanding action, slices fairly well. I think it's a good looking knife. Like I said, I don't love the carbon fiber over G10 laminate, but I still like the knife overall. It is a little thin in the hand, but that does keep the weight down as well. I love the 154 cm steel. So like I said, it just depends on where you pick it up, at what price. Also, make sure to check out these bundles. I love the aluminum version. This one went straight on my backpack, and this one will probably go on one of my other backpacks. So there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.